drivers have been growth in circulation. Our publications across East Africa grew significantly. We've also gained market share, both in our print operations and our broadcasting operations. And the other significant thing is that our investments, which we've been putting for the last couple of years in Uganda and Tanzania, have now turned around. So places where we're booking significant losses are now starting to put positive numbers. So that's a combination of quite a bit of work for the last couple of years, which is now sort of paying dividends.
Now the East Africa region is grappling with high inflation rates, a factor that has resulted in interest rates going up across the markets. How has this impacted on your top line?
Of course, that's a worry, that's a concern. The high interest rates also has an impact on our core audience, our core consumers. But from a cost of doing business point of view, Nation Media Group is in that lucky position where we are probably one of the most cash-rich companies in the stock exchange. I think our cash at any one time is well in excess of 2.5 billion Kenya shillings. So we are able to cushion ourselves, whether it is through hedging, whether it is through buying newsprints, probably a little more than we would otherwise do. We are able to do those things. But, the high interest rate across East Africa is an area of concern.
Now, currently, Nation Media Group is the largest media house in East and Central Africa. And last month, you went ahead and opened a radio station in Kigali, Rwanda. What strategies are you adopting to continue being a top player in the region?
Our vision is to be the media of Africa for Africa. We want to be authorities in telling the African story by the Africans themselves. That is why even when we went to Rwanda, we took a lot of time to train Rwandans to run that business, and they are running that business. We've taken a lot of time to try to get Ugandans to run the business. In fact, the good example is NTV. We've got NTV in Kenya, got NTV in Uganda, but NTV in Uganda is a totally different stations, reaching out to Ugandans, by Ugandans, for Ugandans. So our strategy is to grow. In fact, I would say it's threefold. First of all is to consolidate Kenya, because Kenya still remains a bedrock of our profits. So we've got lots of initiatives to strengthen and consolidate our position in Kenya. The second core strategy is geographical expansion, and that is where the Rwanda opportunity comes in. That is where, as soon as we get TV licenses in Tanzania or radio, we'll be in there. That is why we are setting up a bureau in Southern Sudan before the end of April, and using that bureau we are going to be looking at what opportunities we need to start with, whether it's radio, TV or print. We are looking at opportunities in Zambia, and we are alive to any other opportunities that may present themselves even by way of acquisition. That is why we have a significant war chest by way of cash. The third strategy is online. Because we realize to be media of Africa for Africa, and even if you do a country every year, we still have very many countries to cover. But 2 years ago we launched africareview.com, and if you go to africareview.com, if it is significant and happening in Africa, it is in africareview.com. To that we have over 32 now correspondents across Africa who are regularly reporting, both for our print platforms and for africareview.com.
Moving forward, Linus, what's your outlook for Nation Media Group for 2012 in the wake of the upcoming general elections?
That's a concern, by the way, because nobody knows when the elections are going to be held. But we are operating on the basis that they will not be held this year. And I'll tell you why. Actually, when we know that when the elections are being held and when people start preparing for elections, it's actually a very good time for media. So we are assuming they are not being held, and therefore doing whatever is necessary to meet our rather ambitious numbers, which were set as if the elections were going to be held. And we are still committed to those numbers. If the elections will be held this year, for us it's a bonus, because there is heightened activity and it's good for us. But we are operating as if they will be held in February or March next year. And I kind of think, like the chairman said, when you're dealing with a bunch of hungry people and ask them when they want to go home, your guess is as good as mine about which day they will choose to go home.